For this video, I will be talking about Mega Man X, one of my favorite games in Capcom's Mega Man Meta series and my favorite entry in the Mega Man X subseries. The premise of Mega Man X is that long prior to the beginning of the game, Mega Man's creator, Dr. Thomas Light, made another humanoid robot named Mega Man X, X for short. X was created with a new feature among robots, the ability to think, feel, and act independently. Dr. Light sealed X in a capsule with a program intended to test X's reliability until X was safe to be woken up. Basically, if X was woken up at the wrong time, his free will would have potentially made him a threat to humanity. Dr. Light included a warning message with the capsule explaining this, and the warning appears in the game's opening sequence. Sometime in 21XX, about a century after the setting of the classic Mega Man games, a man named Dr. Kane came across X's capsule, woke up X, and found and looked at Dr. Light's notes on X. Dr. Kane made robots based on X's design, and the robots, which are called Reploids, ended up getting mass-produced. Unfortunately, some Reploids started malfunctioning and turned into evil Reploids called Mavericks. To stop attacks or threats by Mavericks, the Maverick Hunters were formed. An advanced Reploid named Sigma became the Hunters' leader, and X joined the Hunters. Sigma eventually turned into a Maverick himself, and he and other Maverick Hunters started a rebellion against humanity. After Sigma's defection, a robot named Zero became leader of the Hunters. X wanted to do something to stop Sigma's rebellion, so he and Zero set out to put a stop to Sigma and his Maverick followers. The game begins with X on a mission to stop a Maverick attack on a highway. On the highway, X runs into Vile, a powerful member of Sigma's rebellion and another former Maverick hunter. Vile overpowers X, but Zero saves X and Vile flees. X is then tasked with stopping attacks from 8 high-ranking Mavericks: Sting Chameleon, Spark Mandrill, Storm Eagle, Armored Armadillo, Launch Octopus, Chill Penguin, Flame Mammoth, and a Stag Beetle robot with the infamous name Boomer Kuwanger. To those who don't know, the name Kuwanger is based on the Japanese word Kuwagata, which means stag beetle. I will now talk about the gameplay. The play control is smooth, intuitive, and deep. X's arm blaster, the X-Buster, fires its standard shots at a good rate and charges at a good rate. Speaking of charging the Buster, firing charged blasts is so much fun, especially fully charged, because they look great and do great damage. Sliding down walls is great because the sliding slows X's descent and allows X to jump up walls. The latter is useful in several ways, including allowing X to get out of pits. The dashing, which is available after X gets the foot armor parts, is another great feature. The speed of the dash is good, and the dash is a good evasive maneuver, and the dash can increase the length of X's jumping. While the foot parts are in plain sight, the other armor parts are hidden. These parts are great too, and are a great reward for exploring stages. The 8 Mavericks I mentioned earlier each has their own stage, and the player can complete these 8 stages in any order they choose, giving the game depth and strategy. Every time X defeats a Maverick, he acquires that Maverick's special weapon. The Maverick weapons are greatly varied, and all 8 weapons are useful and fun to use in their own ways. Each Maverick is weak to another Maverick special weapon, adding to the strategic element of the stage selection, and adding depth to the Maverick fights. The gameplay is made even better by the great and colorful graphics, which go well with a futuristic robot war story, and which go well with a story set in the Mega Man universe. I will now talk about the stages. The introductory stage on the highway is excellent because its stage design is intuitive, the music is excellent, and the cutscene at the end of the stage is a great introduction to the personalities of X and Zero, my 2 favorite characters of the Mega Man X series. The highway song is excellent because it goes well with a dangerous highway and the beginning of a dangerous mission. The song also does a good job at setting up the atmosphere of the game. The introductory stage is intuitive and accessible in that it is a great introduction to the basic mechanics of the gameplay. For example, the pits below the B helicopters are a great introduction to the wall sliding and wall jumping. Speaking of intuitiveness, X shown firing his partially charged X-Buster is a great way to let the player know that the X-Buster can be charged. In addition, the foot parts being in plain sight is a great way to let the player know that the armor parts even exist. The Maverick stages are well designed, beautiful, intuitive, and greatly varied, and they have side paths that are a great encouragement for exploration. The armor parts, hard tanks, and sub-tanks in these paths are great rewards for exploration and give the game depth and replay value. The hard tanks increase X's health, which is satisfying and which makes combat more convenient. The sub-tanks, which can be used to recover X's health, are energized by health pickups and are reusable, giving the player good reason to grab health pickups even at full health. The stages all have excellent music too. Each song goes well with its environment, fits the overall atmosphere of the game, and is fun to listen to in general. I especially love Sting Chameleon, Storm Eagle, and Boomer Kuwanger songs. On the subject, the Maverick songs beginning with a great remix of the Robot Master intro song from the classic series is a nice touch. The stages end in a satisfying way with a satisfying stage clear song and X making an awesome pose before teleporting away. I will now talk about the Maverick battles. The Mavericks are well drawn and are greatly varied in terms of design and attacks. The Maverick battle theme is great too. It creates a sense of danger and goes well with the attacks of the Mavericks. Using a Maverick's weakness against it is very satisfying. I won't give any specific examples because I don't want to give away any weaknesses. All of the Mavericks are fun to fight. My favorite Maverick to fight is Storm Eagle because of his design, his attacks, and the fact that the fight takes place on a moving aircraft. Before I get into the final scenario, I would just like to say that the secret ability of X to use the Hadouken from the Street Fighter series is a great touch. X's Hadouken is useful and fun to use, and the voice clip of X saying Hadouken is a great touch. I will now talk about the final scenario, Sigma's Hideout, which consists of 4 stages. The first stage has a great refight against Vile. Zero sacrificing himself to destroy Vile's ride armor is intense. X breaking free of Vile's paralyzing energy is satisfying. Vile's battle theme is excellent. Defeating Vile is satisfying, and the scene afterward of the dying Zero talking to X is well written and emotional. The refight as a whole does a good job at showing how much X has grown since the fight on the highway. The first 3 stages of the hideout are colorful, well designed, and challenging, and all end with fun boss fights, especially Rangda Bangda, the wall boss at the end of the second hideout stage. These fights use Vile's battle theme, and it goes very well with them. The fourth and final stage of the hideout is great. Climbing up the shaft to get to the final battle is fun, and the infinitely spawning enemies in the shaft are a great way to recover weapon energy and energize any sub-tanks that the player has, so that the player can properly prepare for the final battle. I will now talk about the final battle itself, which is my favorite battle in the game. X and Sigma finally meeting face to face is satisfying, and the battle gets off to a great start with a great fight between X and Velgarder, which is Sigma's robotic wolf-like pet. This fight is followed up with a great fight between X and Sigma. The fight is great because of the intense music and Sigma's attack patterns and movement patterns. This is then followed by the third and final phase, and my favorite phase, a battle in which Sigma's head attaches to and controls a giant wolf-like robot body. This phase is intense and challenging, is a great combination of combat and platforming, and has a great song, which goes well with the intimidating giant body, the attacks, and the challenge, while also creating a sense of danger and a sense of a pivotal battle. I will now talk about the ending. Watching Sigma's island explode is very satisfying, and the epilogue message that follows is well written and thought-provoking, and is accompanied by a fitting song. The cast of characters segment is great because of the highway setting, which is a great nod to the intro stage, and because the cast is a great retrospective of the journey. The song is great too. It goes well with the successful end of a rebellion, and is a great change of pace from the bittersweet epilogue scene. The credit sequence is great because of the triumphant and upbeat song, and because of Sigma's message at the end, which is a great setup for a sequel. Overall, Mega Man X continues to be a strong entry in the Mega Man meta series with its accessible and intuitive gameplay, smooth play control, well-designed stages, great weapons, likable characters, colorful graphics, and excellent soundtrack. That concludes my review of Mega Man X. Take care.